Today we will be discussing the nervous system and how it helps our brain do what it does. The nervous system controls many other systems by sending signals all throughout our body. We will explain how the neurons in the central nervous system and peripheral nervous system are both supported by helper neurons called neuroglia. We will also explain how the action potential is conducted in order for an individual to move the muscles within their body.
The nervous system is broken down in two parts. First one is the central nervous system, which consists of the brain and spinal cord, shown here in red, and is known as the integration center. The second is the peripheral nervous system, shown in purple, which consists of nerves all over the body.
First, we will discuss a little bit about the PNS. The PNS provides sensory information for the CNS. It is a link to all of the organs. The PNS has two divisions, afferent and efferent.
The afferent division carries sensory information detected outside of the nervous system by structures called sensory receptors, shown in blue. The efferent division of the PNS takes motor commands from the CNS to the muscles and glands. These muscle cells and glands are called effectors, shown in red.
This picture shows the spinal column and how the efferent and afferent signals leave and enter the spinal cord. Shown in red is the afferent, where the receptors send sensory information to the CNS, in this case to the vertebrae of the spinal cord. Shown in blue is the efferent, where the effectors send back its motor command to the PNS in order to move a specific part of the body. This picture also shows the location of the motor neuron and the sensory neuron. This picture also displays gray matter and white matter. White matter consists of myelination or fatty layers, whereas gray matter is not myelinated.
These signals are sent by the brain to the rest of the body through neurons. A neuron is a cell specialized for intercellular communication through changes in the membrane potential and also through synaptic connections. Through a series of events, one neuron sends a signal to another neuron until it is sent to its destination. There are a few different parts of the neuron. Starting at the top are the dendrites. The dendrites are connected to the soma body cell, which contain the nucleus. From the soma body cell, a range of axons are connected together and lead to the axon terminal.
In order for a neuron to work, it needs its supporting neuroglia. To get a better understanding of the differences between neurons and neuroglia is to think of them as ants. The neuron itself is the queen ant, where the neuroglia are the worker ants. Although the neuron is the queen, it is greatly outnumbered by the worker ants. The CNS and PNS both have their own neuroglia.
Kim Kardashian can be used to describe a motor neuron. Oh wait, we mean a motor neuron. She is catered to, like the motor neuron, by the supporting neuroglia.
First, we will discuss the neuroglia of the central nervous system. There are 4 different types of neuroglia in the central nervous system: microglia, astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, and ependymal cells. A good way to remember this is my aunt opens everything. The microglial cells are the smallest of the neuroglia. These cells are made by the mesodermal cells, which are used to make the bone in our skull. These are phagocytic cells which protect the body from waste, debris, and pathogens. An interesting fact about microglials is that at the time of infection, they increase all throughout our body to fight it off.
The astrocytes are the most common neuroglia in our body. The astrocytes act as a blood-brain barrier, which makes sure that only the cleanest blood is going up to the CNS, especially the brain. It makes up the framework for the CNS, along with repairing damaged neural tissue. Although we know what the astrocytes do, one interesting fact is that we do not know how they do what they do.
One can tell the difference between the oligodendrocytes from other neuroglia really easily. The ends of the processes are made out of myelin, which wrap around the axon of a motor neuron. The myelin can increase the speed of an impulse going down the axon of the motor neuron. Like discussed before, areas that are not myelinated are called gray matter, whereas if they are myelinated, it is called white matter.
The ependymal cells line the central canal of the spinal cord along with the chambers of the brain. They keep in contact with other glial cells in the neural tissue. The ependymal cells are also used for cushioning and protecting the brain and the spinal cord. Some of the cells are ciliated, which help transport cerebral spinal fluid. The peripheral nervous system has its own neuroglia for its queen ant or the motor neuron.
The PNS has two neuroglia. The first one is called satellite cells. These support and surround neuron cell bodies. Satellite cells are similar to the astrocytes in the CNS in the way they function. Schwann cells cover the axons of neurons outside of the CNS.
Action potential is a nerve impulse coming from the brain to the skeletal muscle, shown here in red.
The signal interacts with the dendrites and runs down the axon all the way to the axon terminal.
This is an overview of what action potential steps go on throughout the process. We are going to look further into it and take a zoomed-in view.
The gap between the axon terminal and the skeletal muscle is called the synaptic cleft. Before an action potential reaches the terminal, the axon terminal is negative.
When the action potential finally reaches the axon terminal, the ending then becomes more positive. This allows calcium gates to open, and calcium comes into the terminal, shown here in blue.
This causes the vesicles in which acetylcholine are placed to open, and acetylcholine, shown as the round balls, are released into the synaptic cleft. The acetylcholine then bind to the receptors.
This causes the sodium gates to open. When this happens, sodium goes into the muscle fiber and potassium is leaked out into the synaptic cleft.
Acetylcholinesterase leave the muscle fiber, and acetylcholine separate from the receptors. The acetylcholinesterase then engulf the acetylcholine.
This separates acetylcholine into choline and acetyl acid.
The choline recycles back to the axon terminal, where it binds to acetyl-CoA to create acetylcholine once again, and the process continues.
We hope this video has helped you better understand the various parts of the nervous system. Thanks for watching.